5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Start. The present matter has been brought before this honorable court for consideration with respect to the dispute arising between the complainant and the respondent, wherein serious allegations have been leveled regarding fraudulent transfer of immovable property and breach of fiduciary duties. The learned counsel appearing for the complainant has submitted that the respondent, by way of misrepresentation and suppression of material facts, induced the complainant to execute certain documents, which were later used to effect the transfer of valuable land situated within the municipal limits of the town. It is the specific case of the complainant that the respondent, who was entrusted with the management of the property for the benefit of the joint family, took undue advantage of the trust reposed in him and misused the blank-signed documents that were handed over in good faith for the purpose of applying for mutation and related formalities. The learned counsel further submitted that the respondent had no right, title or authority to alienate the said property, and the act of executing the sale deed in favor of a third party amounts to not only civil wrong but also criminal breach of trust. It was argued that the transaction was not supported by any valid consideration and the alleged buyer was a close associate of the respondent, which makes the entire transaction suspicious and collusive in nature. The learned counsel prayed that the transfer be declared void ab initio and possession of the property be restored to the complainant, failing which irreparable loss and injury would be caused which cannot be compensated in terms of monetary relief. Per contra, the learned counsel appearing on behalf of the respondent has contended that the allegations made are baseless, vexatious, and have been brought with a view to harass and pressurize the respondent. It is the specific stand of the respondent that the complainant had, of his own volition, entered into an agreement for sale, and had thereafter executed the sale deed after receiving the entire sale consideration. The respondent has relied on documentary evidence including the sale deed, affidavit of possession, and bank statements showing transfer of funds. It was submitted that the complainant, having accepted the sale consideration and handed over possession, is now estopped from challenging the validity of the transaction. The learned counsel emphasized that the property in question was self-acquired and not ancestral, as is being claimed, and therefore, the complainant had no locus to raise objections regarding its sale. The respondent has also filed an affidavit placing on record that the property was not under any form of trust or family arrangement, and the complainant had full knowledge and consented to the sale willingly. Further, the counsel submitted that the buyer is a bona fide purchaser for value without notice and is in lawful possession. Therefore, any relief claimed by the complainant would severely prejudice the rights of the third party and would be against the settled principles of equity and justice. The counsel urged the court to dismiss the petition with exemplary costs. Having heard the rival submissions made by the learned counsels for both sides and having perused the material placed on record, this court is of the view that certain disputed questions of fact arise in this matter which cannot be adjudicated without leading of evidence. While the complainant alleges that the documents were signed under misrepresentation and the sale was effected without his knowledge, the respondent has taken a contrary stand supported by documentation that appears, on the face of it, to be genuine. In view of the conflicting versions, This court finds it appropriate to frame preliminary issues and direct the parties to lead evidence, oral and documentary, to establish their respective claims. It is well settled that the burden of proof lies on the party who asserts the affirmative. Therefore, the complainant shall first lead his evidence in support of the plea that the sale deed was not executed out of free will and that the consideration mentioned therein was never paid. The parties are also directed to furnish details of the current status of the property including revenue records, municipal entries and possession, so that an accurate understanding of the prevailing situation can be formed. Further, the third party in whose favor the sale deed has been executed shall also be impleaded as a necessary party, as any order passed in this matter is likely to affect their rights. The registry is directed to issue notice to the said party and obtain their written response within the time stipulated under the rules of procedure. Before concluding, this court would also like to express concern over the rising number of cases involving property disputes among family members, which not only burden the judicial system but also reflect a breakdown in mutual trust and ethical conduct. It is indeed unfortunate that matters, which could be resolved through open communication and transparency, often result in prolonged litigation. In the instant case, the complainant and respondent appear to have once shared a cordial relationship, which now stands strained on account of alleged financial and legal irregularities. This court encourages both parties to explore the possibility of amicable settlement through mediation, which could preserve family harmony and prevent further escalation of the dispute. If both parties are agreeable, the matter can be referred to the court-annexed mediation center for resolution. However, if such efforts fail, the matter shall proceed to trial in accordance with law. The matter is accordingly posted for further proceedings on the next scheduled date, and the parties shall ensure their presence along with complete documentation as directed. Any non-compliance or deliberate delay shall be viewed seriously and may attract appropriate action as per the provisions of procedural law. The interim status quo regarding possession and title shall be maintained until further orders, and neither party shall alienate or encumber the property in any manner. Accordingly, all counsels are advised to assist the court with precedents and statutory provisions relevant to the present controversy before the next hearing. Stop.